creativity needs a pilot light. You need to keep a pilot light lit under your creativity so that when it comes time to think creatively, you're not starting from scratch every time.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll talk about that more later.
Yeah. In fact, it's a little bit like muscles. It's like going to the gym.
That's exactly right.
Our guest is Cliff Goldmacher. We discuss the hidden value of building leadership's creative confidence. Join us for episode 423 of Growth Igniters Radio with Pam Harper and Scott Harper.
This episode is brought to you by Business Advancement Incorporated, enabling successful leaders and companies to accelerate to their next level of success. On the web at businessadvance.com. And now, here's Pam and Scott.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Pam Harper, founding partner and CEO of Business Advancement Incorporated. And right along with me, as always, is my business partner and husband, Scott Harper.
Hi, everybody. It's great to join you again. And as always, Growth Igniters Radio is especially for visionary top leadership of mid-market and large companies. And our purpose is to ignite new insights and inspiration for game-changing business innovation and transformational growth. Now, the world is going through so many profound changes. And we've seen that traditional playbooks for strategy and leadership don't really fit anymore. Just for instance, AI and other new technology, geopolitical shifts, much more are throwing a monkey wrench into our business plans so many unpredictable ways.
Yes, but rather than thinking of these only as problems, as some people do, we see this as signaling opportunities to reimagine leadership.
That's right.
This could look like leadership around innovative responses to current customers, leadership to enter emerging markets, leadership to develop game-changing business models, and much more.
What do all of these and other responses point to? We all need to be open to collaborating in new ways and taking bold yet prudent risks. Now, what's worked until now still matters. Don't mistake that. But leaders also need to build creative confidence it takes to discover what's beyond the familiar playbook.
Yes. When leadership builds the creative confidence to think even bigger about what's possible and engage others in bringing those possibilities to life, this can lead to discovering hidden value that can lead to game-changing growth for the company and its stakeholders.
That's right. And to strengthen creative confidence, it helps understand that it's open to anyone who's curious enough to learn more about it.
Mm-hmm. And that's why we're speaking today with our returning guest, Cliff Goldmacher. He's a Grammy-recognized #1 hit songwriter, 2-time TEDx speaker, and author who helps organizations build cultures of innovation and boost creative confidence through the power of songwriting. Over the past decade, Cliff has partnered with global leaders like Accenture, Bank of America, and Dell to enhance collaboration, engagement, and adaptability. Cliff's insights have been featured in Forbes and published in Fast Company. He's author of The Creative Confidence Playbook, which we're going to be discussing today,
Right.
and The Reason for the Rhymes, Mastering the 7 Essential Skills of Innovation by Learning to Write Songs. He's collaborated with top institutions like IDEO and ASAE and Vanderbilt's Owen Graduate School of Management. In our last conversation with Cliff, he shared what it's like to experience his high-energy, interactive programs that blend music with practical tools to drive meaningful change. And today, we're looking at the unexpected value for building creative confidence. You can read much more about Cliff Goldmacher by going to growthignitersradio.com, episode 423, and scrolling down to the bio link in resources. Cliff, it's good to have you back. It's been a while.
It has. And I love seeing episode 423. That's kind of amazing.
It really is. And we want to build on that. So let's start out. Tell us a little bit about what inspired you to create the Creative Confidence Playbook, particularly at this time in the world.
Well, Scott mentioned it earlier. These days, it is assumed, especially at this time in the world, that AI is going to somehow handle our creativity for us. Now, don't get me wrong, AI is a wonderful creative tool, but it is still about our vision as humans. And we have to be creatively confident in order to create that vision. So on top of that, I've written well over 100 articles on how songwriting builds cultures of innovation and improves creative confidence. So what I thought I would do is pick out the best articles and put them together in a way that was easily accessible to work on this idea of creative confidence.
That makes sense. There were a number of articles that resonated with me. And when I saw the one about the long-term dividends of creative confidence, I said, we've got to get him back, and that's how we got here.
So digging down a little deeper on this, Cliff, let's talk about what you've learned about the relationship between creativity and productivity, because creativity is great, but until you put it into play, it's just ideas.
So there is a sort of an unspoken assumption that creativity and productivity are almost opposites, but really, I believe that one informs the other. For example, in my world, the most effective creatives have tremendous productive discipline, and the most productive people are always thinking of new and creative ways to work. So they really do work well together. Also, productive people can benefit from seeing how creativity can be broken down and demystified. And this is something that I wanted to actually put some hard numbers behind. So I started doing a survey at the end of my songwriting program. And what I found was from before to after the program, and the program is an hour, I asked people to rate themselves on a scale of 1 to 10. How creatively confident are you? I did this at the beginning and then at the end of the program. A 51% increase in 1 hour. And what I attribute this to is taking smart people and simply breaking down creativity into something that's manageable and that they understand.
So now these people who took this, they were at all levels of leadership?
That's exactly right. These are organizations all the way from frontline workers to the C-suite. But across the board, there is this, I don't want to go as far as to call it a fear. I think there is an assumption that we are not creative. And the reality is that that is simply not true.
That's right. That's what human evolution bred into us. You got something going on, figure out what to do with it.
Well, I think it's because people think about creativity, say, as an artist. I mean, like you, Cliff, you're extremely creative. You're known for it. If I'm in finance, you don't want to be creative with your numbers,
But you can be creative about how you gain them, gather them, and analyze them in a way that creates more value for the company.
Exactly.
Sure. That's exactly it. There is creativity is more than being able to write a song, although that is the vehicle I use to open the door to creativity for people. But creativity is about putting together novel ideas and doing something different. And that applies in finance just like it does in the recording studio.
That's right. Now, Cliff, this big gain from the beginning to the end of your program, 51% is very impressive. Do you have any feeling for how long that sticks? Is it a temporary boost or does it hold on?
That's a really good question. I don't have any hard numbers on that, but my assumption is that with everything, myself included, and I'll tell you what I do a little bit later in the program.
Okay.
Creativity needs a pilot light. You need to keep a pilot light lit under your creativity so that when it comes time to think creatively, you're not starting from scratch every time.
Right.
So I'll talk about that more later.
Yeah. In fact, it's a little bit like muscles. It's like going to the gym.
That's exactly right. I think really, if there is a big idea here, the big idea is that we are all creative. It is simply a matter of breaking down the process into manageable pieces. It's not like somebody wakes up one day and says, I'm going to write a hit song. That's years and years and years of understanding the process. It's the same with any kind of creativity. We're innately creative, but then if you want to really work that muscle, as you mentioned earlier, it's a matter of being intentional about it. Creativity is practice plus intention.
Okay.
I like
And
that.
this applies at all levels of the organization,
100%.
especially at the top leadership, where sometimes we've heard people say, well, those people over there, marketing or innovation,
Yeah,
or whatever.
those people, you go do that program. Those
Yeah,
people,
go be creative.
but it's really about we people,
Yeah.
we at the top of leadership as
100%.
much. Yes. Well, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll dig deeper with Cliff Goldmacher, the Grammy-recognized songwriter and author of the Creative Confidence Playbook, about the tangible value of building leadership's creative confidence. Stay with us.
This is Growth Igniters Radio with Pam Harper and Scott Harper, brought to you by Business Advancement Incorporated. That's us. And you can find us at businessadvance.com.
Well, we are in our 12th year of Growth Igniters Radio.
Imagine that.
Yes, and we're proud that the show continues to gain recognition. In fact, Growth Igniters Radio has just been named the 2026 Thinkers 360 Podcast of the Year. And we've been honored by Popcorn Podcast Awards and ranked in the top 5% of podcasts worldwide by Listen Notes. That's a lot. Listeners tell us they value our conversations with visionary CEOs and thought leaders like Cliff Goldmacher, as well as our Pam and Scott Quick Takes. And that's where we explore the leadership questions behind the issues that are shaping the future of business.
And if you're finding value in our podcast, and we hope you are, become a recommender. Follow Growth Igniters Radio on your favorite podcast app, write a review, and share links to your favorite episode with people in your network. And because we're just now doing video podcasts on YouTube, tune into the Growth Igniters radio station there as well.
Yes. And remember, Growth Igniters Radio is only one of the ways we work with top leadership teams to ignite game-changing business innovation and transformational growth. Curious about how we might work with you and your company? Well, visit businessadvance.com and schedule a conversation with us. Welcome back to Growth Igniters Radio with Pam Harper, that's me, and Scott Harper. Today, Scott and I are speaking with Cliff Goldmacher, Grammy-recognized songwriter and author of the Creative Confidence Playbook, about the hidden value of building leadership's creative confidence. Cliff, tell us how people can find out more about you.
The easiest way is probably to go to my website, which is www.tr4tr.com. tr4tr.com.
Okay.
What's that stand for?
I was
I'll
looking
tell you
at
what
it.
it stands for. It's actually, I gave this some thought. It stands for the reason for the rhymes.com, but it is a lot easier to type.
There you go.
Well, see, now I understand why. I'm one of these curious people. You can also find information and links for this episode by going to growthignitersradio.com, episode 423, and scrolling down to resources. And I might add that you can also get a link to the first conversation that Cliff had with us, where he actually plays a portion of his hit song and demonstrates just a little bit of what it's like to work through one of these sessions. So I encourage you to listen to that as well. Now, in the first segment, we spoke with Cliff about why it was time to have a creative confidence playbook, because quite frankly, the world is changing in so many ways. We need our creative confidence more than ever. And Cliff, you told us in a previous conversation that you've seen people who are skeptical even about doing this kind of thing benefit from the experience. Give us a story.
Well, my favorite story was I was pulled aside by an organizer at a corporation. Told me, you are about to go into a room full of people. The leader of the team was formerly a prison warden. His team is scared of him.
No.
And good luck. So I got up. I started to speak to the team. and we're starting to go through the process of writing a song. And I'm always keeping an eye, because I understand I'm asking people to step outside of their comfort zones. So I'm always
right.
keeping an eye on the faces of the people who are attending. And I'm watching the warden. I'm going to call him the warden. And he is not smiling. He is not changing expression. I don't know if I'm getting through at all. And I'm starting to get really concerned.
Yeah.
So we go a little bit further and we get through writing the lyric of the song. And then, still no feedback, no visual feedback. I asked the group, which I always do, well, what genre are you imagining this song to be? And really, for the first time, the warden speaks up and he says, I was envisioning this as an 80s metal song.
Okay.
Yes, okay.
So that's what I played them. I added music to their song and turned it into an 80s metal song, sort of reminiscent of, heaven help me, the Scorpions, that style of
Okay.
music.
Wow.
Okay.
He flipped out. He's singing the song. He's moving around. It was like something got unlocked. And that is the amazing power of creativity. This is somebody who was not smiling, was not engaging. Adding that little bit of creativity to the mix set everything loose. And my favorite part of this story is something I didn't learn until a couple of years later. I reconnected with that organizer. And what she said to me was, right before you went on, he came up to me and he said, I'll go along with any program you have, as long as you don't make me dance or sing. Now, she didn't tell me, thank goodness, she didn't tell me that. But can you imagine how she was feeling when I got up there and said, you are now going to be writing and singing a song? So it all turned out great. And it is a reminder that any and all of us are creative and are capable of that sort of expression if you just sort of break it down and go through the parts.
Sure.
And building on that, did you have any feeling for whether people's fear of this guy decreased at all after this session?
It was clear, because the moment they were queuing off of him.
Yeah.
So the moment they saw him loosen up, they loosened up. It was wonderful. It is, I have to say, if there's anything that I love the most about the work that I do, it is the joy that it introduces into situations that are not typically described as joyful.
Yeah. Well, so I'm also curious, though. Did you have a particular goal in mind when you were doing this creativity, or was it just to develop the muscle itself for whatever else they would use it for?
That's a great question. There is actually a very, very specific goal when I lead these programs, which is there is a concept that is brought in that is important to this team. We then take that concept, create a metaphor around it, and write the song around the metaphor. What that does, above and beyond showing people that they are innately creative, is it helps them think about their concept in a much more emotion-rich, sort of memorable way. It's one thing to put a concept up on a PowerPoint presentation. It's another thing to write a song about it and sing that song. I can go back
we have to have business innovation.
For example.
Yeah.
But it's amazing. I can go back to teams I've done this for 8 years ago, and they can tell me exactly what the song was and what it was about.
Now, this is cool because it really gets into some of the hidden value of what you're doing here. I'm sure we know that neuroscientists have shown that reasoning is one thing. The forebrain comes up with ideas, but until you engage emotion, or when you engage emotions, it sets things up where there's this magical connection between what motivates us to do stuff and thinking about it.
The power of the metaphor is that it is a direct line between your idea and your emotions.
There you go.
All of a sudden, something becomes real in a way that just a concept isn't. So you hit it on the head, Scott.
Yeah.
Very good.
And so when you're dealing with all kinds of uncertainty and ambiguity, doing something like this could actually make it easier to name what you really are dealing with.
When you do something like creating a metaphor around your idea and writing a song about it, it's amazing what comes loose. It's powerful.
And it has some real hidden value for sure. Well, we're going to take another break. And when we come back, Scott and I will speak more with Cliff Goldmacher, Grammy-recognized songwriter and author of the Creative Confidence Playbook. And we're going to be discussing 3 immediately useful ideas for strengthening that creative confidence muscle. Stay with us.
You're listening to Growth Igniters Radio with Pam Harper and Scott Harper. We're brought to you by Business Advancement Incorporated. To find out how we work with visionary top leadership teams to ignite business innovation and transformational growth, you can visit businessadvance.com.
Now, here's a question. If so many top leaders believe innovation and transformation are essential to claiming their company's future, why can it still be so challenging to break what I call the orbit of the status quo? You know, that's when everyone's busy, but the organization isn't really moving into the future, just going round and round, caught up in short-term priorities. As an author and advisor to top leadership teams, that was the question that sent me on a long search for answers. So what is it about the leaders I call growth igniters? How are they able to bring bold transformational visions to life even as the world keeps changing? Well, that's what I share in my keynote, Break Orbit, Achieving Long-Term Growth in a Short-Term World.
Go to PamHarperSpeaks.com today and schedule a call with Pam. You can find out how Break Orbit could fit with your next leadership conference or executive retreat.
Welcome back to Growth Igniters Radio with Pam Harper and Scott Harper. Over the last 2 segments, Scott and I have been speaking with Cliff Goldmacher, Grammy-recognized songwriter and author of the Creative Confidence Playbook, about the hidden value of building leadership's creative confidence. Cliff, remind us of how people can find out more about you and take advantage of some of these amazing resources that you have.
Well, thank you for asking. My website, thereasonfortherhymes.com, or more easily accessed, www.tr4tr.com.
Okay. And you can find more information and links to this episode, as well as the previous one where Cliff was with us playing his song, by going to Growth Igniters Radio, episode 423, and scrolling down to resources. So, we are at the part of our episode where we talk about 3 tangible, immediately useful ideas.
Theory's nice. What can you do with it?
That's right. In this case, it's about strengthening your creative confidence muscle. And we're going to frame it along with Cliff so that we can get a full experience here. So in the immediately useful idea number 1, let's talk about something that starts with self. Like, Cliff, what's a small exercise that leaders could use to challenge the belief, I'm not creative?
So, do you remember how I mentioned earlier that creativity, you should keep a pilot light lit under your creativity? Yeah. The way that I do that, and I do this every single morning, is it literally takes 2 minutes. I write a haiku every morning. Now, for those of you who don't know, very simple Japanese poetry, 5 syllables for the first line, 7 syllables for the second line, and 5 syllables for the third line. It's a 3-line poem, does not have to rhyme. And I even put one together for today's show, just so you could see how simple this is. Are you ready for my haiku?
Please. I'm ready. Go for it.
Scared to write your thoughts? What's the worst that could happen? You're already done.
Wonderful. Okay.
Yay. Yay.
So
Yay.
just that little exercise, just that little exercise every morning is a way of saying, I've put something new into the world. Now, I know it's a small thing, but it matters. It matters.
And it combines a structure, because there's a structure to the haiku.
100%.
And with, how can I say something new that matters? Yeah.
And I want to add here, just because some of us might feel a little intimidated by that if there's something else that makes you feel creative, do that.
Well, when you and Scott and I were talking earlier, Pam, I have put together a little article called 5 Micro Creativity Tips. So feel free to enclose a link for your listeners. if you'd
Very
like,
well.
but they're just little things that you can do just to remind yourself that you are, in fact, creative.
Now, let's go to a second idea. Uh, We've gone to the self. How about for a team? What's something that leadership teams can use to generate more possibilities that go beyond what they're used to doing? Their established playbook. How can they do that?
Other than bringing me in to lead my songwriting program for your team, which I understand is not always possible,
Yeah.
the
Right.
reality is that any kind of collaboration across your team will improve your creativity. And I like the idea, whether we're doing it in service of writing a song or not, of taking a concept that is important to your team and thinking about metaphors that apply to that concept. And I'll give you an example so this isn't so vague.
Okay.
We all know that working well as a team is a priority for teams, right? That's
Right.
an important thing for teams. How
Sure.
dry is that? But what if the metaphor were a flock of geese flying south for the winter?
Okay.
Ah.
All of a sudden, it's much more visual. And by the way, if that team of geese doesn't work well together, they don't survive. So all of a sudden, there's this story. There's a whole lot more around that metaphor than just the idea of we need to work well as a team. So as a team, thinking about metaphors for some of the important things that you're working on can be really powerful.
So, building on the team, let's go to the immediately useful idea number 3, which in this case would be fostering creative confidence in the entire organization. So, what would be a way that leadership could foster the conditions throughout the organization that would increase everyone's creative confidence, in this case for business innovation?
Well, both of you touched on this earlier, and I think the key is to remember that cultures of innovation and cultures of creativity are about everyone's belief and support of innovation and creativity, not just your creative team. It's not them, it's
Mhm.
us. It's
Yeah.
all of us. Even if there is a team designed to do some of the more specific creative work, unless that team is in a culture that is supportive of the work that they do, they'll be siloed off and they won't be effective. So it's really about remembering that it is a culture of innovation and a culture of creativity, not just a company that has a creative team that will work or an organization that has a creative team.
Absolutely. I like that, Cliff. And one of the things that I personally recommend is to stop using not that you do it, but that for people to stop using the phrase those people,
Mhm.
because those people are calling you those people.
Mhm.
And I've heard it, and it's an
Very
informal.
demotivating.
It really is. And so using the word we, as you've said, we and us and how are we going to work together is tangible. It goes back to when you practice your lyrics and you strengthen your muscles,
Yeah.
it actually comes to pass.
That's right.
So here we are. We're at the end of the episode, and it's been quite a conversation. Can you leave us with some final thoughts about the hidden value of building leadership's creative confidence in the face of uncertainty and complexity?
I've actually given this some real thought. And what I have come up with is that it is all about beginner's mind. And what I mean by that is leaders are used to being in control. They are used to having all the answers. But by remembering to honor our beginner's mind, by exploring our creativity, even if we're not sure yet that we have it, and I assure you that you do, what that does is it keeps you curious and it keeps you creative and open to new solutions in a complex and uncertain world.
Cliff, thank you so much for being our guest on Growth Igniters Radio.
It has been really my pleasure. Thank you both for having me back.
Oh, thanks, Cliff. And thanks to all of you out there for listening to Growth Igniters Radio. To contact us and get show notes and resource links for this week's episode, including a link to our previous conversation with Cliff and the micro creativity habits, schedule a call with us. Go to growthignitersradio.com, select episode 423.
Until next time, this is Pam Harper,
And Scott Harper.
wishing you continued success and leaving you with this question to consider and discuss with your team. How can we strengthen our creative confidence muscles by applying at least one of the exercises that we've been talking about in this episode?
Growth Igniters and Growth Igniters Radio with Pam Harper and Scott Harper are registered service marks of Business Advancement Incorporated. All Growth Igniters Radio episodes are copyrighted productions of Business Advancement Incorporated, intended for the private use of our audience. Except as otherwise provided by copyright law, all other uses including copying, editing, redistribution, and publication without prior written consent of Business Advancement Incorporated are prohibited. All rights reserved.